Let me directly go into the subject. And Rama is again coming back to India after 25 years. 25 years back, the society, the polity, and everything in India changed because of Lord Rama. And now again we have come to a stage to invoke Lord Rama to save this Hindu Rashtra. It is one subject which is not only in the hearts of Hindus, it is mostly in the hearts of our Rome Rani. Roma cannot understand Rama. Unfortunate in this country, this Roma is ruling a Rama Rajya. And again, most of the ministers or MPs, it is very difficult for them to make and understand what Pujaniya Swamiji said, that in India, we need to educate Indians how to be Indians. So why we want to protect Rama Setu? It is very clear. Rama is the Avatara Purush. Is not only Avatara Purush, he is a role model for each and every Indian, not only for Indian, for any human being for that matter. How a father is to be to his son, how a son is to be to his father, how you should behave to your wife, how you should be a Raja, how you should be a brother, how you should be an ordinary Praja. Take any aspect of life other than corruption and hypocrisy. Rama is a role model for everyone. So this is what the Bharatiyata, this is what the Bharat culture is all about. And Rama represents each and every Bharatiya values in his life. That is why Rama is called Avatara Purush. And coming to the question of Rama Setu, this is the only monument which is left Rama has created in this world. The palace of Rama is no longer there. Friends of Rama are no longer there because it is the time everything has to go. The only remaining thing in this world which is existing to remind about Lord Rama is Ram Setu. And now we have come to a stage where even that lost heritage is going to be demolished in this country. And nothing more than a shame can be there in this country more than this. So, why Rama Setu is important? And this presentation mostly we will be dealing about what are the evidences there to prove that Rama Setu is there. Number one, that is from our religious point of view. We have two more set of evidences. That is one from pure science, and number three from environmental and other impact. And we have another set what eminent jurists have to say about Rama Setu. With that we can conclude. So first is the Setu Tirtham. Generally, Thalam, Tirtham and Murti. These three things we used to do. One place, if it is holy, it can be, you can consider that place as holy based on three things. One is Murti. Murti is the Devata who is presiding in the temple. Number two is the place, a place of significance. If some sadhu has blessed that place, or by the place value itself, Kashi. It is famous for three. Kashi itself is a Mokshapuri, Sthalam. Ganga is flowing there, it is Tirtham. And we have Vishwanatha there, so it is Murti. So this Setu Tirtham, the first point is Tirtham. And the Setu Tirtham is considered to be one of which is equivalent to that of Kashi. If you are undertaking a pilgrimage to Kashi, you have to go to Rameswaram. There you have to make a shivaling out of the sand. You have to take the sand from Rameswaram. You have to go to Kashi. Then you have to put that sand in sacred Ganga. There you have to worship Lord Vishwanatha. Take the water of Ganges. Come back to Rameswaram. Do an Abhishek to Ramanatha Swami, then only the pilgrimage is complete. This is our tradition, which we are following from time immemorial. And this is what Setu Tirtham is all about. This government wanted to destroy that Setu Tirtham. And it is a direct assault on Hinduism, nothing less than that. Now, generally, whenever Hindus speak about anything, the immediate question will be asked, where is the proof? This question was never asked to a Muslim. Why you are throwing stones in the Minar? Had you ever asked this question, any of these guys who used to speak rationalism, they will ask these questions to Hindus. They never ask this question, whether by throwing the stone, had any one of you see a Satan running from the Minar of Medina? They will never ask. They will come and ask Hindus, where is the proof? But basically we are not Muslims, and we do have a sense that is called a common sense as well as scientific sense. And that is why we are able to provide this much amount of evidences to say that Ram Setu belonged to the Hindus. This is the evidence number one, where the name Tirtham occurs. Not only in India Setu is venerated, even in the Sri Lankan literature, we can see that Setu is considered as one of the important places where you are supposed to have a dip. This is from the Sri Lankan literature. And again, I have quoted many Puranas from where Setu is being repeated as a place where you need to go and have a snana. Those things are there. I think that they can have it later on. We can just push on. And the next question comes. Rameswaram is an island. Again, the other side is Sri Lanka. Near Rameswaram, you don't have any big Western Ghats or Eastern Ghats. From where did Hanuman got all these stones? They say the stone floats. Can I agree that a stone floats? Rational questions. How a stone can float? Is there any sense behind this? These questions are asked to us again and again. But no question was asked when those three saints went to the cowshed to see whether Jesus was born to Mary in a cowshed. The stars moved, they followed, just like the red lamp which is there in the cars of our ministers. Nobody will go and ask that rationalism. They will ask this rationalism to us. Yes, there is a rational answer from our part. Still, if you come to Rameswaram, there are two temples. One is Sakshi Hanuman temple and other is Panchamukha Anjaneya temple. Still those stones were preserved. So if you pay a visit to Rameswaram next, or whenever you are going to pay a visit, just go and see whether these things are available or not. So it's a proof that existing material is available, how Rama has constructed a bridge. Yes, sir. Now, these are the geological and archaeological evidences. So it says, it's basically a very simple thing. Humans, first if you want to have a bridge, then there should be some community either side living. Otherwise there is no need for Rama to construct a bridge. So what are the fossils which were examined in the Indian side as well as in the Sri Lankan side? We find the existence of human race 13,000 years before Common Era. This clearly shows that there was a thick human habitation, which is the first proof to prove that while during the time of Setu Bandhana, human race existed on both sides. This is the first proof. Somebody may ask, if tomorrow we are saying that there is a bridge, then somebody may turn around and say, where is the proof that Ravana lived there? Because now all Ravanas are living in Sansad Bhavan in Delhi. So anyway, some Ravana also lived in the other part. At least that Ravana has got dharma. These Ravanas, they don't have even that dharma. Yes, next one. And generally it is an Indian psyche that if Vedas say, or if Aryabhatta say that the earth is round, we need to have a cross check. But if the same thing is said by Galileo, then it should be correct. This is the Indian psychology, and for that purpose, we have taken these things from NASA, and the source from where we have taken it is there. Whenever you are going to get the presentation, those things will be there. And this is the bridge, and you can very well see the right side is Mannar, that is the Sri Lankan part, and this time is again near Dhanushkodi. This is where the bridge crosses, and this is the satellite image taken by NASA. We have written, and Indian Express has written a letter to NASA. Whether it is a man-made or not, NASA has not replied so far. That means it is true. If it is not true, NASA will be mailing it at the next moment. So this is some evidences that we are just showing. Next slide, sir. And generally in India, we used to say if something has got a tradition of 200 to 300 years or so, it needs to be respected as an ancient monument. And my friends over here, Sambadji is there, Umaka, everyone is here. The guy who is opposing this Rama, who is in favor of demolishing this one, is our famous friend Karunanidhi. He is having a big issue. This Ramatri Setu needs to be destroyed. For this, these are some rational questions asked by Karunanidhi. In which college Rama studied engineering? Great question. But the thing is, this Karunanidhi, last time when Jayalalitha came to power, there is no difference between these two. One is the devil and the other one is the deep sea. Not much of a difference. Okay? Huh? So, in this process, Jayalalitha wanted to construct a new, Mantralaya. That is a secretariat in Tamil Nadu. So, she chose one Queen Mary's College in Chennai. Immediately, Karunanidhi and his son, they were in the streets. This Queen Mary's College is a 100-year-old building. It is a heritage of Chennai. How can you touch that? Again, some old Buddhists who studied in the college 70 years back, 60 years back, most of them Christians, they were in the road, that it should not come, a heritage structure should not be demolished. A Queen Mary's College constructed by an Englishman 100 years old is a heritage structure. But look at this logo. This is a logo of 1767. In this logo, Ram Setu was mentioned. This is simply 250 years older and 150 years older than our Queen Mary's College. Now Karunanidhi, which one is a heritage structure, whether it is Ramasetu or it is the other one? Karunanidhi has to decide. And in my mathematics, I say that 250 is more than 100. And again, these are some of the maps that we have picked up. In 1747 map, the circled in red is the Setu. It is mentioned as Rama's temple. It is not mentioned as Rama's bridge. Just imagine, it is a place where Hindus used to go and worship. Like Swamiji pointed out, in each and every season, we used to leave one. Not for sannyasa. Sannyasa is again leaving something. Here we are always, it is not sat nyasa. We are leaving sat things each and every century. And this was Ramar Kovil in 1747. Yes, next slide, sir. Then again, this is one map. Here it is mentioned very clearly, it's an Australian map. It is referred by T.R. Balu. He was the minister. And he is one person who wanted that Seza Samudram canal to be there. Do you think that it is for development? Why they are now wanting this, Because they have got money from all contractors to take the contract. If the project is not going to come, they have to repay the money. So they speak about development. They have got nothing to do with Tamil, nothing to do with development, or nothing to do with Rama. As Swamiji pointed out, Rakshasas in human form. Nothing more than that. And this is one was referred by him in Saraswati Mahal library, and even after referring to this, he never admitted that that bridge exists. And these are some places where he have reference to Ramasetu. Yes, sir. Okay, one thing, it's religious and cultural sites, and again it is mentioned at Setuka. And after 1812, the Britishers changed its name to Adams Bridge. There is one Pada of Ram in this side, and there is another Ramar Padam on the other side. Generally, we call it as Ramar Padam, this side and other side. They used to call it as Adams Bridge, and they named it as Adams Bridge. And from there on, most of the maps will locate that particular place as Adams Bridge. Yes, sir. And Al-Burini's record, And this again, in this record you can see, some of the Indian names are again Islamized. So what the effort is, after this particular record, you can see there are Islamized names to Indian cities. And this is Puranic Bharat. Here also it is mentioned as Setuka. And just run by, what is it? Okay, this is what the Madras Administrative Report of 1903, it said that there was a bridge and human movement was there between Sri Lanka and India till the 15th century. Just remember, it was not an unused bridge till 15th century, and there was a tsunami, and during that tsunami, there are some portions they got submerged and some portion they got evolved from there, and these things were reported by the English travelers. And it's a research report, just go and he is the culprit now. In 1972, it was the same Karunanidhi, he wrote an Anugraha Bhashan for a gazetteer. In that gazetteer, it was mentioned Ramasetu and Nalasetu. And Karunanidhi, as Chief Minister in 72, he praised the research quality of that book in his Bhashan. And now he says where Rama studied engineering. Okay. And now in Tamil Nadu, we have a problem. The thing is, one tendency is there to say that Tamil is separate and India is separate. Ye sab bakwas hai. And when you say that there is no Rama, then there is no Tamil. Sangam literatures are the oldest literature Tamil has got. In the Sangam literature itself, there is a clear indication that there exists Ramasetu. And this is the one song which we have quoted from that. Yes, next. And these are the coins which have Setu. And this is from Indonesia, sculptures showing how Vanaras are used to construct Ramasetu. Next. And this is one you can see that this Shanka. Shanka is unique to our tradition. Wherever in temple, where if a child is born, or if a marriage, or if death, Shanka is a part and parcel of our community. It is unique to this Mannar coast. This Shanka happens to, it's a shell, but it occurs mostly in this Coromandel coast starting from Rameswaram to Thoothukudi. If this project is going to come up, the tradition of Shanka is going to diminish from this entire world. Okay, next. And this is what Ambika Soni. This property said that we don't have the government of India, they have no intention to call Ramasetu as a national monument. This is what the government has to say, yes. And again, they said they want to do a monument out of an island there in Brahmaputra. They want to do it here. For this, they are quoting conveniently certain sections. But in what way Ramasetu is out of this preview? And these are the court orders where Ramasetu was mentioned even before. And actually the rounded portion is what the government, where the government want to construct the bridge. This is exactly cutting the Rama's bridge. There are many other alignments which they are not going to go for. And the next one. And in 1956, actually the Mudaliar committee is the first to recommend this particular project. They very well stated, you should not cut this bridge. If you are going to do it, you are going to create a colossal loss to the environment. This was the earlier report which used to say. Yes. And again, this place is known for its volcanoes, and these are the findings what the government has to give. Next one. And generally we used to have a habit, whatever our dharma says, we used to check it with the science. But generally we don't do that. Whatever science says, we need to check it with our Vedas and Shastras. Because Vedas and Shastras are permanent. Your science changes every day. So they said that there is a volcanic activity. This is Valmiki has to stay in Valmiki Ramayana. Thus, after that is when the Samudra was asked to give way for the bridge. Rama shoot that arrow at that particular point of time. This many volcanoes have turned out to be. This is now proving what science says. So this is another evidence of Ramasetu. Yes, sir. And this is the hot spot where you can see the reds there, where you have more hot spring activities. Yes. Yes, it is a tsunami. And this is how the Indian plate moves. And basically that area is going to be prone to more seismic activity, so it is unfit to be a bridge. Next. And this is what the Murthy's view. He clearly stated, if the Ram Setu is going to be destroyed, the entire Tamil Nadu and Kerala are going to get destroyed because of future tsunamis, because Rama Setu is protecting this country. And next, and this is what the Japanese have done. They have created an artificial bund to save Japan from tsunamis, but Rama has given us the Kavach, but our politicians want to destroy. And again, this is one coast starting from this Mannar up to Kerala, where you have the biggest thorium deposit. In another 25 to 30 years, uranium will be replaced by thorium in atomic reactors. And now, if this project is going to come, there won't be the cyclotron movement and trying deposits of thorium in that sand. So in future, India will not get thorium from our sand, and it is going to be a future security concern for this nation if Samudram Canal is going to be constructed. Next. And this is how the cyclotronic movement is going to be, and this is how thorium is getting deposited in our sand. Next. And these are the crucial sea lives which are going to be affected because of it. And this is an agreement between India and Sri Lanka at that time. No third country should be allowed to enter into these waters, because this maritime waters is very vital for both the countries. And you can see from the second part of it, in Sri Lanka and nearby places where China and America are having their naval bases. If the Samudram project is going to come up, all these warships of other countries, again of China and America, will navigate through. So it's a major security concern for this nation. Next. And this project doesn't have any nautical sense, that is self-explanatory. And these are the eminent jurist views. The first one is the most important one, V.R. Krishna Iyer. Okay? So he also said that Rama Setu needs to be project protected. And based on all these evidences, the government has put up a committee headed by Dr. Pachori, and the committee concluded, thing is, this shipping canal is ecologically and economically unsustainable. It is the report given by the government. The committee was formed by our Manmohan Singh, and it was given to the Manmohan Singh. So if the problem comes for Manmohan Singh, what to do? He said, simply I will reject this report. It is a committee formed by the same Manmohan Singh, and they rejected the report. Yes, sir. The next one. So it is our duty to protect it. Want of time, I just rushed through. And he is our professor who guided us throughout this project. And you can also be in touch with him. He has done lots of work than us in this particular field, so it is a duty for us to acknowledge him. And again, after 20 years, we have to again do a Karseva. That Karseva was done in 92 to remove a national shame. And now we have to do another Karseva to protect the national pride. Ram Setu is our national pride. Let us save Ram Setu, let us save Hindu Dharma. Thanks for your patient listening.
Jayatu, Jayatu,
Hindu Rashtra,
Jayatu, Jayatu,
Hindu Rashtra.
During my association with Vishwa Hindu Parishad, that's City Secretary of Chennai City for 17 years, I was motivated by Parama Pujya Paramacharya of the Kanchi Math to take up the work of village development and cow protection work some 30 years back. We have two trusts, one by name Govardhan for the cow protection and another for Bharat Heritage Foundation for the human welfare. Our main goal is save the cow, save the village, save the farmer, save the country. Without the farmer's involvement, farmers they are equivalent to another mother. We have three mothers as far as we are concerned. One is Janani, mother. Then another is Gomata, Bhumata. Another is farmer. Unless otherwise the farmer works in the field, we will not get food. That's why you used to say in Tamil, in Thirukural, Sudandrum yerpinnadu ulagam adanal udandum udavedalai. That means, even though we have a lot of activities, but everything is behind agriculture, Krishi, Visai. Therefore, our target is only farmers. The farmers, see, previously we used to say Jamindar. Jamindar means a farmer. He is the owner of farmland. And more Jamindars were there. So the country was flourishing like anything. Today with 121 crores of population, even though we have the land, we do not have the manpower to work in the farm. Mind you, no industry can become 100% except agriculture. Automobile industry cannot become 100%. Your chemical industry cannot become 100%. Your IT cannot become 100%. So why should you require roads? Why do you require banks? Why do you require buildings? We have a cow and a simple farm land. Everything, the land and the cow is giving. The Bhumata is being purified by the Gomata. That is, the land is being purified by the cow. Mind you, without cow, the human beings cannot exist in this world. Cow is the representation of all animals and creatures. All animals and creatures. So with this idea, we have been working. See, establishing Gosala is not a solution for cow protection. It is not a solution. And the world's biggest population of cows, only India has got 18.44 crores of cows in the world. Biggest population of cows only in India. Why? Because the Bharatiya Deshiya Gai. Only one thing, if you have net, you can see. One book is there, also it is also available in the net. It's called Mother India, Father Brazil. If you go to Brazil, you cannot find any crossbreed or Jersey cow. Only Indian breed, indigenous cows are big. You can see there in Brazil. That's called Zebu cow. You know the Indian market, the price of the international market of Gir cow. Gir is supposed to be the descendant of Lord Krishna. 35 lakhs. It gives 48 liters of milk in Brazil. In Brazil. If you want to buy the original breed of 27 S12 available indigenous Indian breed cow, you will have to go to Brazil. Our politicians have sold out all the original Indian breed cows and calves to Brazil 1968 at the behest of Jawaharlal Nehru. And now, one Mr. Pratap Singh is there in Brazil, and he has been awarded by the President of Brazil for what? For improving the economy in the past 40-50 years by introducing the indigenous Indian breed cow in Brazil. Imagine. See, the Brazil government recognizes our Indian scientists for having introduced the indigenous cow, Indian breed cow in Brazil. On account of it, the economy has been uplifted like anything in Brazil. But unfortunately, we do not know. Only Brazil people will come later on and teach us how to rear, how to maintain an indigenous cow. Even today, we are buying some original Indian breed semen. We have got a semen bank, for crossbreeding, for breeding. We buy at the lowest rate of 350 rupees per dose from Brazil only, not from Gujarat. The original breed, the semen for breeding, we buy from only Brazil. Anyway, these are all some of the statistics. Now I come to this cow protection work, how it can be done, our experience. See, many people are very emotional and also they make gosham, they make shouting and other things. Practically, lot of difficulties are there. Fodder is a problem, water is a problem, and manpower is a problem, then land is a problem. So we love to do all the Vyavastha work, all the basic work we love to do. So first of all, for capturing the animals that are being taken for slaughter, approximately 2 to 3 lakhs of cows and bulls and bullocks are being slaughtered in India every month. The government statistics say 2 to 3 lakhs of bulls, bullocks and cows majority. They are being slaughtered in India. Through Tamil Nadu, from Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka and other places, 25,000 cows are being slaughtered in Kerala. Hindus, Muslims, Christians all eat beef. So how to stop it? This is one aspect of it. Then another aspect is to educate the farmers about the economic viability and the maintainability of age-old cows. Most of the judges and government officials, people antagonize. Do not do that. Our experience is, most of them want to give some help for cow protection work. So if you want to capture some animals, see, we have got already 31 cases, inclusive one case in Supreme Court. Some of the cases also I have seen, some persons from the other states have come. And recently, some 2 months back, we captured one lorry load of cows. And the judge itself, she collected some 5,000 rupees and gave as a donation. So all we have to do is to motivate the persons. There are very good police officers, very good government officials. Most of them are good. Only thing that we should not rub on the wrong side. If you tell them, so we go to the judges and tell them, "Arey, we are going to save the animals. These are the law. Prevention of cruelty to animals law is there." So there are certain loopholes. Most of the loopholes are favoring the criminals. But some loopholes are favorable for persons like us. So we tell them that you adjourn the case as long as possible, so that the amount payable for maintenance will become huge, so that he will not claim the cows back. That is how, in this manner, in the last 10 years, we have been able to save about 4,700 cows in Tamil Nadu. We have not left one single cow. We have been instrumental in establishing 30 goshalas. But from the goshalas are only transit point. From that point, we give it to the farmers. As I told we have been working in 60 villages. In the farmers are the target. We give it to the genuine farmer. One farmer, one cow. That is one house, one cow. So that, suppose I have 100 cows. The establishment charges, the maintenance charges will be 1 lakh per month. That is at the rate of minimum 1,000 rupees per cow per month. So if I give it to 100 houses, I can have a supervisor for 5,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees and supervise it. And we cultivate fodder in government lands and give it at a very cheap rate of 50 paisa per kilo. Fodder for their. Why farmer is selling? The farmer is not able to maintain the cow. Therefore, we have planned, this year also, we have taken about 16 acres of land and cultivated the fodder. Fortunately, we should thank the present government of Tamil Nadu. They have allotted 800 crores for providing subsidy for cultivation of fodder in Tamil Nadu. We will have to appreciate that. See, definitely, whatever may be the difference of opinion, that is a different thing. Previous government also, the same Madam Jayalalitha, she took some 10 acres or 5 acres of Puramboke land and assisted for cultivation of fodder, so that the fodder is available cheaper for the cows. Now, this year, even individuals can apply. Now it has been implemented now through the collector. So the farmers are given subsidy for cultivation of fodder, so that the cows will be fed properly. So many ideas are there, and we have been working in these lines. Again, what I would say is, suppose even in our 30 Goshalas, I can feed about 100 full-time workers. If some persons are there, they are very poor and they cannot do any other work, they can come to our Goshalas and do some little work and they can be fed. Because one thing, see, one study from the government, I tell you, in the last 10 years, 256,000 farmers have committed suicide. But the government study says, those who have been maintaining the Deshi Gai with hump, they have not committed any suicide. They have not committed any suicide. Only these crossbreed cows and the Jersey cows. The expenditure is more, the maintenance is more. Even the milk which you have been taking from Jersey cow or crossbreed is it will be harmful to your health. One Philippine scientist have found out it may even produce cancer. So with this I conclude.
जयतु जयतु
हिंदू राष्ट्रम
जयतु जयतु
हिंदू राष्ट्रम
ये परशुराम क्षेत्र है। ये परशुराम क्षेत्र कैसा आया है? परशुराम क्षेत्र पहले समुद्र में था। समुद्र से दिस लैंड वाज टेकन बाय आवर परशुराम विथ हिज आर्म्स, विथ हिज कोडारी। ऐसा है हमारा ब्रदर्स, those who are Christians and Muslims, they are all, once upon a time, they are all Hindus. Now they are all in Christian, Muslim. It is our duty. How Parashurama take the land Muddar, ऐसा है हम we will take back them to our Hinduism. It's a पुण्य भूमि है इधर गोवा। इधर हमारा तिलक, लोकमान्य तिलक कहता है स्वराज्य इज माई बर्थ राइट, पहली बार कहता है। ऐसा है हिंदू राष्ट्र इज अवर बर्थ राइट, ऐसा है ये व्यासपीठ से हम बातचीत करता है। कन्वर्शन, मतांतर, conversion by conceit is nothing but a tool of to capture countries. वो मुसलमान है, क्रिश्चियन है। Behind the reason is slowly they convert the people, then they dominate our countries and they capture powers. All over the world it was happened. Our Bharat has borne the maximum brunt when compared to other countries due to this conversion. The Muslims are always converted Hindus openly and forcibly. We saw in our history, एक हाथ में तलवार है, एक हाथ में कुरान है, ऐसा वो करता है। हमको मालूम है वो हमारा एनिमी है। But these Christians, they are doing their conversion pre-planned, motivated and capturing the whole nation. Particularly when the Europeans, along with the European countries, the Christian countries had, all the countries had three type of battalions, three type of armies: army, navy and air force. But these Christian countries had, उसको दूसरा आर्मी है, it's called Christian missionaries, fathers and Bibles. The three type of army के पहले first they send their Christian fathers. Yes. Christian missionaries as the 4th battalion, they entered a country holding cross and Bible in their hands. In West Indies, they went to a island with Bible. The king of that island welcomed them warmly. Like when Vasco da Gama came to Kerala, our Cochin Raja give warm welcome. That type also, that island king welcomed him. This Christian told them, see, it's a new God. You accept it and you read this Bible. And close your eyes and read the Bible. They told him to close his eyes, hold the Bible and pray the Jesus. Jesus is a new God who is the only savior of all. After the prayer time, the Bible is in king's hand, but the ruling is in the father hand. Father means the Christian missionaries' hand. I say European merchants came to India to do commerce along with Christian missionaries. The missionaries and the Christian rulers had a underground understanding. In the name of service, the missionaries started education, medical and help to poor. Our people become easy prey for them, particularly in coastal areas. First they do their conversion activities in coastal areas. Innocent fishermen were targeted and converted. How? In Kanyakumari and Tamil Nadu border area, Kerala border area, there was a secret alliance between the pirates. The pirates are all also Christians. The pirates and the Christian missionaries. The pirates who attacked the fishermen didn't do so when they become converted. If the fisherman had Bible and the cross symbol, they never attacked them. So these missionaries slowly, they advised him, you please keep this Bible, keep this cross symbol and go to Samudar with this cross. You are not attacked by the pirates. I saw a conversion ho gaya. Now, in Tamil Nadu coastal areas, 40% of the fishermen. In Kanyakumari district, 100% fishermen. They are all Sivagotra hai. They are all पूर्विक हिंदू है, परदवा है. परदवा नाम से इस देश को भारत कहता है. परदवा राज्य है, भारत राज्य है. ऐसा एक ये व्यास पुत्र है वो सब. Fisherman community is very important community in Hinduism. But now 100% fishermen are all converted in Kanyakumari. Under the pretext that Jesus says they were cunningly converted using the same methods. Like that, Harijans and Girijans also got converted. Since the British backed them, the number of Christian conversions raised alarmingly. Under the cover of getting jobs and abroad, abolishing caste system, villages in Tamil Nadu were converted by Muslims in a place called Meenachipuram. Those who are converted themselves to Muslims, pehle, it's a group conversion. It was happened in 1982 in Meenachipuram, Tirunelveli district, near Tenkasi. That Meenachipuram name itself also changed Rahmat Nagar. Before conversion, the Tamil people named, they had a very good bhakti with our Gandhiji. They are all very good patriots. That family named his son to Mohandas because of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. They are all Gandhian family, Congress family. They are all belongs to Dalit community also. They named Mohandas. After conversion, this Muslim, they named as Muhammad Ali Jinnah. If they changed their name, they changed their Vishwas to Bharat se Pakistan. So conversion is very dangerous. A small udaharan. It is glaring fact that their patriotism, their love for culture, language also. Before convert themselves, they speaking Tamil. They say, meeting everybody, Vanakkam, Namaste bolta hai. After conversion, the Tamil and Sanskrit and Hindi all are ruined. They are planning to change Meenachipuram to Rahmat Nagar. Once converted, their mental state changes to support to Pakistan. During the Mandaikadu riots, you know the Mandaikadu, a village of Kanyakumari district. Curfew. The bishop held special prayers in churches. The bishops pray and all Christians pray in churches openly. They invited America and Europe countries, please put your bomb in India because these Hindus are all attacking us. Oh Jesus, you advise the America you instigate the European countries, put bomb against, declare war against our India. Last election, when Atalji was Prime Minister at that time, all Christian missionaries organized prayers in all over the churches. In churches they pray, this Christian Virod Rajya. Atalji Rajya is Hindu Rajya. They like that. Atalji also Hindu Rajya. So this Hindu Rajya will fall, Yesu Rajya will come, so that you never vote to BJP, you always vote to Sonia. ऐसा वो prayer करता है. How the Christian conversion make them anti-nations and they politicalize. One should remember the wise words of Swami Vivekananda. You know, Swami Vivekananda told, one person converted from Hindu to Muslim or Christian not only means we have lost one person, it means one more added to our enemies. ऐसा है स्वामी विवेकानंद बोलता है. Swami Dayanand Saraswati ji told the conversion is a form of violence. There is a threat that Kanyakumari might also, all churches writing in boards on hoardings, not Kanyakumari, they say Kannimeri. They say Kannimeri. You know the Vivekananda Rag. Somehow our Hindu people, they take the rock back. Before that, they go to Samudar, they go to that rock and they put a cross there. And they call it a Saint Xavier. Saint Xavier rock. हमारा Hindu organization all take very initiate action. They, one day night, they go there and they demolish the cross. Because Sripada Para is there. हमारा Kanyakumari Devi, Ekapada Para, it's the name. Still, now also we go and darshan our Devi ji foot there. Those who are convert themselves, they mainly told, main reason is, in Hinduism, Jativad is there, casteism is there. In Hinduism, untouchability is there. It is the main reason. But what happened after conversion to Christianity or Muslim? Practically now we see the root cause. The root cause of conversion, always they say casteism is in Hinduism. But in practical truth is that after conversion, this untouchability and caste-based differences continuing in Christianity also, in churches also. In churches, now one new religion, in churches, one new religion, one new caste, Dalit Christian. These Dalit Christians are not allowed in holy places of churches. In the divine places, they never allowed. It is practical. In Tamil Nadu, Viluppuram district, Erayur village, 2 years back, the Dalit Christian area, they build a Mata temple, Christian temple there, Christian church there. The missionaries never go to that Dalit area and they never recognized, they never authorized the pujas in that Dalit area. So they are all, Dalit means in Dalit Christians. The Mata is called Paramata. Para means it's a Dalit community in Tamil Nadu. They call it is Paramata. And the majority Christians are all there. They called their Mata, their church is Podu Mata, General Mata. And problem is started, firing, Lathi charge all are going there. After that we go there. We say, you convert yourself. Here also untouchability is here. So, why you go to Paramada or Jaganmada? Paramada or Podumada, General Mada. You please come back. You change yourself. You reconvert yourself. Please come back to our Jaganmada fold. It is the permanent solution. All over India, aisa hota hai. In Muslim also. In Meenakshipuram, they called Navi Muslim. The old Muslim, they had no any marriage contact also. They never give. More than 36 families now also treated untouchable in Islam also. Thank you. Bharat Mata ki. Vande Mataram.
జయతు జయతు
हिंदू राष्ट्रम
జయతు జయతు
हिंदू राष्ट्रम
Wherever we move around in Tamil Nadu, on the top of every hill, we can see a cross. Children from various communities are brought to the churches claiming to pray for their success in exams. They are given chocolates, pen and eatables, and every day brainwash them to praise Jesus. After attending some days, these boys and girls refuse to put kumkum on their forehead. They refuse to wear vibhuti on their forehead. So this is the tendency. 110 acres of land. Think of it. 110 acres of land belonging to God Muruga in Kumara Kovil is now occupied by a single Muslim, Majid Khan. His name is Majid Khan. It is occupied by him, and a college called Noorul Islam is functioning there. 110 acres of land. How he got it? He didn't pay much. He paid small amount. He got patta through hook and crook, and he managed to buy this land, and Darul Islam College is functioning in the land of God Muruga. They single out Chennai outskirts and using the people's poverty and ignorance easily brainwash them with the money and material to Christianity. Unfortunately, the Dalit leaders and atheist leaders of Tamil Nadu, leaders who do not have faith in God, they are also supporting them, helping them. Why? To gain the votes of these people, these politicians are helping them. People who are converted into Christianity or Islam, they tend to become anti-Hindu, totally anti-Hindu. And they indulge in such activities. Christian missionaries purchase land indiscriminately. The extent of their property, actually, the extent of land belonging to Christians and Muslims need a survey. They wanted to occupy 500 acres of land belonging to Adivasis. Actually, it's a hill area. It's called Kalimalai. Kalimalai means Durga Malai. Christians wanted to name it as Kurusumalai. Kurusumalai means cross hill. It's situated in Kanyakumari district. Under the leadership of late Sri Narayanji, Hindus organized themselves and thwarted that attempt. A Kali temple was established there. With the great sacrifice of our Hindutvavadis, we could get back that hill. 2 murder cases were foisted on our Hindu workers, and they had to go to jail also. Similarly, there is a place called Chittalapakam. Chittalapakam is also in the outskirts of Chennai. One fine morning, we could see that a piece of land was occupied by Christian missionaries. It was the land of government. They have occupied into that land. They constructed a church over there. We forcibly entered there. We also placed an idol, Ganesh idol. So what was the result? Mr. Karunanidhi was the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu then. He ordered, arrest these fellows. We had to spend 21 days in jail. So this is the picture. Christian evangelist Paul Dinagaran family acquired 750 acres of land in Coimbatore district. He started many institutions in the name of Karunya. They have acquired the land, leaving aside all government rules, and renamed the original name of Nallur Vayal. Nallur Vayal is the original name of that village, but they have converted as Karunya Nagar. Now there is a Karunya Nagar police station. There is a Karunya Nagar post office. Everything Karunya Nagar. The original name, which was named by Hindus, Nallur Vayal, is not found anywhere. And this Karunya institution bring thousands and thousands of illiterate Hindus into the campus, and they are going on converting Hindus into Christianity. They are getting hundreds and hundreds of crores of rupees from Tamil Nadu government and central government as aid for their service activities. This is what the service they are doing.